And good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for rejoining Mike and George on our end of the work week episode of Right Spokane Perspective. How you doing today, George?
You're doing fantastically well, Mike. I am enjoying the fact that summer hasn't decided to leave the Pacific Northwest yet. I wouldn't mind if it had cooled down a little bit and then stay that way till the first of the year, but hey, Mother Nature gives us what Mother Nature pleases to give us, and we had best accept it because even though Al Gore says we're changing things, we're not. I mean, Mother Nature is far more powerful than what man can ever do to change her opinion. So anyway, with that, we do enjoy this type of weather. We enjoy the Pacific Northwest, and we enjoy the fact that today in studio we have a couple, that is Leroy and Darla Palant, who are with Exit Realty. And Leroy and Darla are also involved with a program known as Homes for Heroes. So with that, how about a little background, Leroy, on you and Darla, a little information about Exit, and a little information about how you became involved with Homes for Heroes, and welcome to the Right Spokane Perspective.
Thank you. Well, in the beginning, I got a real estate license in Arizona. That was back in the mid-'90s, and in mid-2000, 2004, I got my license in Spokane or in Washington, and started with a company here. My wife started in real estate about the same time. We joined Exit Realty in 2005. And we've been there since that time. Darla and I do franchise sales for Exit Realty in Oregon and Washington, as well as we're real estate brokers in the state of Washington.
Speaking of franchise, the first thing that comes to mind here, George, is commercial property.
Oh, yes.
Boy, I'm telling you what, I see a lot of commercial property out there during my travels. And
most have signs in front of them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Not many of ours, but yes.
You bet. You bet. Well, let's kind of touch base here on a national program that is become known as Homes for Heroes. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, you can log on and check it out for yourself at homesforheroes.com. Again, homesforheroes.com. As it is our understanding that Leroy and Darla are a huge, huge part of an organization here that has basically blossomed from this national program called Homes for Heroes, and you can check them out by logging on to SpokaneHomesForHeroes.com. And with that, please, Darla, why don't you go ahead and chime on in and give the listeners a little bit of an explanation as to what the program's all about.
Thank you. Homes for Heroes actually started shortly after 9/11, after the tragedy there. A real estate family in Minnesota wanted to find a way to give back to those people who were serving and contributing so much. And so since that time, it's grown and expanded. We've just launched it in Spokane. We just had our ribbon cutting. But what we do is the key hero groups are military, including veterans, law enforcement, firefighters, healthcare workers, and teachers. And to those, we provide significant discounts when they buy or sell or refinance a home. So we just recently gave a check to some first-time home buyers, and it was almost $2,000 that they didn't have to bring to the closing table because of the discounts from us as the realtors, our affiliate lender, who's Guild Mortgage. We've got a closing company that's providing a discount as well.
Excellent, excellent. I have just one question, and this is a personal idiosyncrasy, and I agree with most of the terminology of the heroes, but where do teachers fit in with heroes? That does not go in with my understanding and my idea of who a hero is.
Sure. Well, we're actually following the guidelines of the National Homes for Heroes programs, but we have a teacher in our family, and we see every day. These are the people that every day they're educating our kids, and they put a lot forward, basically from their own pockets, and really are on the front lines day in and day out for our kids.
Well, I'll tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Again, George and I strongly encourage you to check out the web pages for both the Spokane entity as well as the national level entity, because I'll tell you something. For you first-time home buyers, for those folks that are considering first-time home buying, you need every advantage. You need to take advantage of every leverage opportunity that you have. I mean, in light of the economy crashing the way it did, in light of the housing bust that we've seen over the last couple of years.
And the jobs bust.
And the jobs bust, you bet. I mean, this organization, this particular program here, ladies and gentlemen, comes to the aid of the veteran, the teachers, the firefighters, medical personnel, as well as police personnel here who are in need and who are wishing to take part of that American dream in home ownership. And I'll tell you something, it's not an easy thing. I mean, there is a multitude of different things that first-time home buyers have got to learn, that they've got to go through, and this is just the type of program here to help you out, not only to educate you, have you understand what the process is, have you understand what the different entities are and how they impact your first-time home purchase, and not to mention the fact that they are going to benefit you in potentially saving you some money on closing costs, on inspection fees, and as I understand it, folks, there is a large consortium of other industries that have come together right here in the city of Spokane. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
You bet. And give me some examples of some of those.
Well, they're called Friends of Heroes. There's no commitment, financial commitment. All they have to do is provide a discount to these hero groups that is beyond that to the general public. Mm-hmm. And that's all they have to agree to do. And we have a number of them ranging from an electrical company, an HVAC company, windows and siding, and just a myriad of a pest control company. And they all do an awesome job for us.
Do you, through this Homes for Heroes program, have special inspectors? Because one of the things that has bothered me for many years is a young couple buying a home, really not knowing what to look for, and getting stuck. 5 years later, 8, 10 years later, they look and, oops, gee, what's all that sawdust doing down in the basement? Well, you just happen to have a home that's got carpenter ants or, termites or whatever in it. But there are so many things that can adversely affect the purchase of a home. And if a person's not somewhat knowledgeable about what to look for, that can be an expensive lesson to learn.
We do have a home inspection team here in Spokane that's Friends of Heroes. They provide a discount when they do the home inspection prior to the closing. They do an awesome job. That's why we selected them to be a part of the program, and they agreed to be a part of the program, especially first-time home buyers, like you mentioned. We encounter that all the time. It's easy to make them very fearful of the process. They see some little thing, and it can be expanded. These folks sit down, they take the time with them to show them even how to do certain maintenance and repairs as they go forward, how to get the best efficiencies out of their furnace and air conditioning and things like that. They do an awesome job, and it's pillar to post, and I would highly recommend them to anyone. They're an awesome company.
You bet. Well, something, ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest barriers out there in my mind, George, is financing. Actually finding a lender based upon your credit history or lack thereof. And, as I understand it, the national level program as well as the local program here, by the way, folks, once again, SpokaneHomesForHeroes.com, they work or help those individuals work through credit issues. You don't have to have 20% down. You don't have to have perfect credit, to my understanding. All you have to have is a willingness at this point to get involved in this particular program, learn as much as you can. Again, as Leroy has stated, a lot of the providers that provide these discounts also provide a level of education and expertise to help you along the way.
And financing is one of the areas where, for most young people, although they're far better educated than they were when I was first looking to buy a home, nonetheless, there is still so much involved with the financing, with dealing, knowing what you can talk to a bank or a lending institution about, how you can talk to them, what can save you money. And really, that to me is something that is an invaluable tool to be offered to the new home buyers. And Darla, give us an idea of some of the people that you work with in the heroes who are looking for homes. What have you run into so far in Spokane?
Yeah, you mentioned the financing aspect. We are really pleased that we have Laura Wells with Guild Mortgage on board. And I'll just give you one example. We got connected with a disabled vet. She's in Montana. She wanted to move to Spokane. Before we got a hold of her, she had been to 4 lenders who turned her down. She didn't have bad credit, she just didn't have a credit history. We got her to Laura. Laura did the extra work to create an alternate credit history. She's now in a home, a nicer home she ever thought she could be in. And we couldn't be more pleased because Laura offers every program out there. She's a certified instructor for Washington State Housing Finance Committee. She does first-time homebuyer education every week. And we can't think of anybody better to have on our Homes for Hero team.
Excellent, excellent.
You bet. Well, I'll tell you something, George. We are about a minute away from break. But before we head off in that direction, you know, one thing that we haven't talked about the first half of the show, and we're definitely going to be talking about it when we come back from break, is the fact that not only are we talking about home buying, but we're also talking about home selling.
Excellent.
On the flip side of that coin. So this is going to be very, very interesting as well as educational to hear how that all works. But, you know, once again, ladies and gentlemen, as George and I always encourage you, log on, check it out, make up your own mind, and then do something. You know, whether or not that means that you've got a family member or a relative, a friend that is in the type of industry that would be supportive of a program like this, we can definitely make an arrangement to hook you up with Leroy and Darla. And, you know, once again, that web page will be for the national level program, homesforheroes.com. Again, homesforheroes.com. And the local program here that we're hearing about today is SpokaneHomesForHeroes.com. Again, SpokaneHomesForHeroes.com. I'm telling you something, George. This is exactly what the doctor ordered because, you know, being vets ourselves, you know, those promises that the government made in exchange for our honorable service seem to be getting little and little and little day by day, and this is definitely one of those sunshine opportunities here for us vets. We'll be right back. And welcome back from the break, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining Mike and George on Right Spokane Perspective. You know, it is our end of the work week episode, and we are just a couple of days away from
911.
911, you betcha, George. And, you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you missed the first half of today's show, what we are talking about today is a national as well as a local level program here that assists military, teachers, firefighters, medical personnel, and police in a program called Homes for Heroes. And you can log on by checking them out, homesforheroes.com, or the local entity can be looked upon at SpokaneHomesForHeroes.com. We've got a couple of guests in the studio today, Leroy and Darla Palant. Boy, I tell you, I had a little bit of a problem talking today, George. It must be the end of the work week, you know. So this information, in my mind, is extremely timely in light of the fact that in a couple of days we are going to be observing the 10th anniversary of 9/11. And this particular program was a program that was implemented and created as a result of the first responders, and, you know, the personnel that comprise the first responders there, all of those industries that I just got done mentioning that, you know, were seriously affected by 9/11. And with that, let's bring Leroy and Darla right back into the conversation.
And give us a little bit of a background on how this came to be in Spokane, Washington, because I hadn't heard of a Homes for Heroes program in Spokane prior to approximately a year ago.
Well, in addition to conventional real estate, Darla and I do franchise sales for Exit Realty in Washington and Oregon. And so we were in Toronto, Canada, for some training with broker owners from around the country. And we were talking with Mike Glass, sub-franchisor and broker from the state of Georgia. And he had gotten involved with the Homes for Heroes program and explained that to us. And it really kind of stuck with us, and we came home from the training, and we were talking about it, and we thought, let's check this out a little more. There was nothing in the area or in this region, actually, of the country before that, and so we decided to contact them, check it out, see what we could do, because we really believed in the whole process. Because if any event happens locally, large or small, it's the same responders that were there for 9/11, and we feel a strong allegiance to all of them. So after talking with them, seeing that their heart was in the right place, and it wasn't just a tool to get more business.
Or what's known as scam.
Yeah, that too. And we're pretty conservative about those things. So we did a really good investigation of the process and found it to be an awesome program that we just could not bring to Spokane. So that was when we decided to do that, and we've been building our team to roll that out here ever since.
You bet. Well, you know, during the first half of today's show, Leroy, I happened to mention the fact that, you know, looking at the literature here, not only are you folks there to help first-time or multiple home buyer situations here, but you also assist these folks in selling their property. Can you explain a little bit about how that works?
It's really simple. The same elements apply for the brokers, at least. When a person puts their home on the market, if they list it through a Homes for Heroes affiliate, then at closing, that same commission, 25% of the overall gross commission, will be applied to their costs. And they have significant costs in this state. They have the excise tax, which is 1.78% of the sales price. In a tax, like a sales tax. They have the commissions, of course, that the seller pays. It comes up to be about 8.5% of the sales price of the home.
Which is a pretty substantial amount of money.
And these days, they're being asked to contribute something to the buyer's costs because of just what we know. It's a tough time out there. So this helps them also in their costs when they come to the table.
You bet.
And, there's some of the things don't apply, but all the Friends of Heroes do, the closing costs do, those sort of things. So there's a big way to assist them.
Well, you know, speaking of the real estate excise tax, it's my understanding, you know, part of the Obamacare bill involved an increase or the establishment of a real estate excise tax. Again, it's just, you know, information floating around on the internet, and, you know, everybody out there knows. I mean, you gotta check it out and make sure that it's really correct or concise information. But you know, that seems to be the rumor control that's floating out there right now. Regardless, again, folks, SpokaneHomesForHeroes.com or the national level HomesForHeroes.com. I would imagine that you know, folks that log onto this webpage are going to find it very user friendly. You know, it's just a matter of clicking buttons and filling in names, addresses, and phone numbers, etc. Please, you know, comment a little bit about that.
Sure, thanks, Mike. There's no red tape involved. There's no paperwork. If they go to homesforheroes.com, all we need to know is their name, how to contact them, and what profession they're in. It's as simple as that. If they're in one of those groups, we're happy to help. And I just wanted to point out, too, that the savings are not coming from Homes for Heroes. It's Leroy and I. We have several agents that are part of our team that are real estate agents. Our lender and others are giving that out of our own paycheck. And so this is something that we feel strongly enough, and that these groups, you know, don't often get recognized for what they're out there doing. Even veterans, some of, you know, the saying is, some gave all. So.
I have a question for you. We were talking just a moment ago about the idea of you assisting in the selling of a home also. Is the Homes for Heroes program designed to have a person who qualifies be able to buy a number of homes, or, you know, one after the other, buy one, sell it, buy another one, or is it a one-time deal?
There's no limit. Obviously, if you're selling a home, there's a pretty good likelihood you're going to be buying another one.
Exactly. This was one of my thoughts, that you know, you are working with someone who is selling a home. Well, hey, they're probably going to need some assistance in buying a home.
Absolutely. And the nice thing is, even if they're moving to another area, they can go right on homesforheroes.com and see if they can receive the discount from an affiliate where they're moving to.
We've also negotiated with brokers on the far end of a move, or for a disabled veteran where there was no Homes for Heroes representative or affiliate, to give the discount anyway for that specific purpose. And we find invariably they will do it. And that means nothing. It doesn't come to us only in the heart. It doesn't financially benefit us at all.
Doesn't affect you one way or the other as far as financially.
What we would normally get is a referral for sending them a buyer, or that now goes to their cost for buying them.
Understood.
Very nice.
Well, first thing I got to say to that is bless both of your hearts for your personal commitment, the financial commitment that you make to this particular cause here. Because, you know, like I said...
Is that what's known as putting your money where your mouth is?
There you go, George. There you go. And you know, I'll tell you something else, ladies and gentlemen. You know, once again, Leroy and Darla are associated with a realty organization known as Exit Realty. And if you'd like to get in contact with them for your real estate needs, you know, a referral, a franchise, as, you know, Leroy pointed out that they are in commercial property, et cetera, please, by all means, call them. There's a toll-free number here, 888-852-2237. Again, 888-852-2237. And, you know, speaking of real estate, just kind of a little bit off the subject here, you know, what is it looking like the rest of this year for commercial property here in the Inland Northwest? Any kind of a feel there?
We're not commercial agents. It's kind of out of our area of expertise. We do some multifamily dwelling things or a small business, but we really don't get into commercial much. But you don't have to drive very far to see the impact that's having.
Oh,
every little strip mall is half empty.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Buildings, total, you know, large buildings, vacant.
Downtown Spokane. Good. I mean, there are vacant buildings that have been vacant there for a number of years now.
Yeah, well, you know, I've been known to say here in the past, George, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if the city of Spokane doesn't make the, you know, #1 on the hit parade for available commercial property.
Yes.
You know, and I'll tell you, it seems as though government at all levels, for one reason or another, they are impeding job growth.
Government doesn't understand job growth unless it's growing the government.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I mean, you know, we've got some great examples here in and around Spokane County.
They talk about inept people. Yeah. Our elected officials fit that description so well.
You bet. Well, you know, once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is definitely a program that we can all celebrate. And, you know, please feel free. Log on to, and this would be for the local entity, SpokaneHomesForHeroes.com. Again, SpokaneHomesForHeroes.com. Check out the national level organization, and it's just simply HomesForHeroes.com. Any questions, real estate needs, you might get a referral, whatever the case may be, feel free. Get in contact with Leroy and Darla over at Exit Realty, and you can call them on a toll-free number, 888-852-2237.
And it doesn't have to be Homes for Heroes homes, does it, Leroy?
No,
you are involved with real estate, period.
Real estate brokers.
Mm-hmm. You bet. You bet. And I'll tell you something, folks, you know, with that, we're going to kind of hit you all up for this Monday night. This Monday night, 6 o'clock. Don't forget.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
George needs all the help that he can get down there at the City Council chambers, because I'm telling you something, folks, there's going to be some weird things coming out at the woodwork after you folks. You know, you heard from Bob Apple yesterday. We're talking about misguided priorities here between the county and the city, because for one reason or another, we seem to think that it is more important to go after animal control than it is to go after things more important like our jails, our police,
Our jobs.
our jobs.
In the city of
Absolutely,
Spokane, yeah.
absolutely. And, you know, we've said it thousands of times here over the last couple of years. It is incumbent upon all of us, ladies and gentlemen, to get back involved, get re-engaged in our government.
Your hands dirty.
There you go, George. And, you know, in November, contrary to what you might be hearing, there is going to be an election here in the city of
Will be.
Spokane. So as you've heard George and I say in the past, vote, vote, vote. We're out of here today, folks. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.